Imagine you're an ordinary person, going about your day, when suddenly you're caught up in a terrifying situation beyond your control. That's the premise of Lee Child's thrilling novel, Die Trying. The story begins with our hero, Jack Reacher, strolling down a Chicago street on a hot summer day. He's a drifter, a former military cop with no ties to anyone or anything. Suddenly, he witnesses a woman being kidnapped right in front of him. But instead of running away or calling the police, Reacher makes the split-second decision to follow the kidnappers and see where they take her. This is our first introduction to Reacher's character, a man who trusts his instincts and isn't afraid to take action, even when it means putting himself in danger. Throughout the novel, we see Reacher use his military training and quick thinking to navigate harrowing situations, all while maintaining his cool exterior. But Die Trying isn't just about Reacher's heroics. It's also about the woman he saves, a young FBI agent named Lisa Harper. Harper is tough, smart, and resourceful, but she's also vulnerable and scared. Through their shared ordeal, Reacher and Harper form a bond that goes beyond mere friendship. Their relationship is one of the most compelling aspects of Die Trying. It's not romantic exactly, but it's clear that they have deep feelings for each other. They're two people from different worlds who find common ground in their shared struggles and mutual respect. As the novel progresses, we learn more about Harper's background and why she was targeted by the kidnappers. We also meet a cast of colorful characters, including a charismatic cult leader, a ruthless assassin, and a host of FBI agents and police officers. But at its heart, Die Trying is a story about power and control. The villains in this novel are obsessed with dominance, whether it's through physical force or psychological manipulation. Reacher and Harper, on the other hand, are all about freedom, the freedom to make their own choices and live their own lives. This theme of power and control is reflected in the novel's pacing and structure. Die Trying is a fast-paced, action-packed thriller that keeps you on the edge of your seat from start to finish. But it's also a carefully plotted story with twists and turns that keep you guessing until the very end. In conclusion, Die Trying is a gripping, suspenseful novel that explores themes of power, control, and freedom. It features a compelling cast of characters, including the unforgettable Jack Reacher and his unlikely ally, FBI agent Lisa Harper. If you're looking for a thrilling escape from reality, look no further than Die Trying by Lee Child. Sure thing! Here's my section on Lee Child and the Jack Reacher series. Before we dive into Die Trying, I think it's worth taking a moment to talk about its author, Lee Child. Born in Coventry, England, Child, real name Jim Grant, worked as a television director for many years before trying his hand at writing. His first Jack Reacher novel, Killing Floor, was published in 1997 and quickly became a success, leading to a string of bestsellers and cementing Child's place as one of the most popular thriller writers of our time. At the heart of Child's success is his creation of Jack Reacher, a former military policeman who roams the country as a drifter, getting involved in various adventures along the way. Reacher is a fascinating character, tall, muscular, and intimidating, with a sharp mind and a strong sense of justice. He's also something of a lone wolf, preferring to rely on his own wits and resources rather than trusting anyone else. What makes Reacher such an enduring hero is his refusal to be tied down by society's rules or expectations. He's a man who lives life on his own terms, and that independence is a big part of his appeal. At the same time, Reacher is not invulnerable. He gets hurt, he makes mistakes, and he sometimes struggles to achieve his goals. But he always perseveres, and that determination is what makes him such a compelling figure. Die Trying is the second book in the Jack Reacher series, and it finds Reacher in a particularly tough spot. After helping a stranger change a flat tire, he finds himself kidnapped by a group of white supremacists who are planning a terrorist attack. Reacher quickly realizes that he's in over his head, but he's not about to give up without a fight. Enter FBI agent Lisa Harper, who is tasked with finding and rescuing Reacher. At first, she's skeptical of this mysterious drifter and his claims of being kidnapped by neo-Nazis. But as she investigates further, she begins to realize that Reacher might just be telling the truth. What follows is a thrilling cat-and-mouse game, as Reacher and Harper try to stay one step ahead of their pursuers while also uncovering the details of the planned attack. Along the way, they form an unlikely bond, despite their differences in background and experience. One of the things that makes Die Trying so compelling is its exploration of themes like power, control, and freedom. The white supremacists in the book are obsessed with these ideas, believing that they have the right to dominate and subjugate anyone who isn't like them. Reacher and Harper, on the other hand, represent a different kind of freedom, one that comes from being true to oneself and standing up for what's right, even in the face of danger. In many ways, Die Trying is a classic thriller filled with action, suspense, and intrigue. But it's also a thought-provoking book that asks important questions about the nature of power and control, and the consequences of giving in to our worst impulses. And at the heart of it all is Jack Reacher, a hero who embodies the spirit of independence and determination that we all aspire to. In conclusion, if you're a fan of thrilling stories and complex characters, you won't want to miss Die Trying by Lee Child. It's a book that will keep you on the edge of your seat from start to finish, and lead you thinking about its themes long after you've turned the final page. Die Trying is a riveting thriller that follows the story of Jack Reacher, an ex-military cop who finds himself in the wrong place at the wrong time. The book starts with Reacher and a woman named Holly Johnson getting kidnapped by a militia group called the Aryan Rangers while they are waiting for their bus in Chicago. Holly works for the Justice Department, and she had just obtained sensitive information about the Aryan Rangers' plans to blow up a federal building in Washington, D.C. The group's leader, Wesley, wants to use Holly as leverage to get his brother out of prison, and Reacher is just an added bonus. Reacher and Holly are taken to a remote compound in Montana, where they are held captive and subjected to various forms of abuse. However, Reacher's military training and survival skills come in handy, allowing him to escape and rescue Holly. From there, the two of them go on the run, trying to stay one step ahead of the Aryan Rangers and the FBI, who are also after Holly's information. One of the things that make Die Trying so compelling is its well-developed characters. Reacher is a classic anti-hero. He's tough, resourceful, and has a strong moral code, but he's also a bit of a loose cannon. He's not afraid to break the rules or use violence to get what he wants, but he always tries to do the right thing in the end. Holly Johnson is an interesting contrast to Reacher. She's a highly intelligent and capable woman who has spent her career fighting for justice. However, she's also vulnerable and naive in some ways, which makes her an easy target for the Aryan Rangers. Despite this, Holly proves herself to be resilient and resourceful, holding her own against Reacher and the other characters in the book. The relationship between Reacher and Holly is another highlight of Die Trying. While they start off as strangers thrown together by circumstance, they quickly form a bond based on mutual respect and trust. Their chemistry is palpable, and their interactions are some of the most engaging parts of the book. In terms of themes, Die Trying explores the idea of justice and what it means to be a hero. Reacher is a flawed character, but he always tries to do the right thing, even if it means breaking the law. He's not afraid to take on powerful enemies or put himself in danger to protect those who can't protect themselves. The book also touches on issues of race and discrimination, particularly through the Aryan Rangers' white supremacist ideology. While the group is portrayed as evil and dangerous, Lee Child takes care not to glorify their beliefs or actions. Instead, he uses them as a foil for Reacher's own sense of justice and morality. Overall, Die Trying is an exhilarating thriller that will keep you on the edge of your seat from start to finish. Its well-developed characters, engaging plot, and thoughtful themes make it a standout in the genre. Whether you're a fan of action-packed adventures or complex psychological studies, this book has something for everyone. So if you're looking for a thrilling read that will keep you up at night, Die Trying is definitely worth checking out. Die Trying by Lee Child is a gripping thriller that follows the story of Jack Reacher, an ex-military policeman who finds himself in the middle of a dangerous conspiracy. The book starts with Reacher walking down a Chicago street when he stumbles upon a group of men attempting to kidnap a woman named Holly Johnson. Despite his better judgment, Reacher steps in to help and ends up getting taken along with her. Holly is a lawyer who works for the Justice Department, and she has stumbled upon a secret plan involving a militia group that plans to blow up a building in Washington, D.C. The group believes that Holly has access to classified information that could expose them, so they take her and Reacher hostage. The two are then taken on a harrowing journey across the country as they try to escape from their captors. Throughout the book, we see Reacher's resourcefulness and determination as he tries to keep Holly safe while also attempting to uncover the truth about the militia group. Reacher is a fascinating character who is both physically imposing and intellectually curious. He is a drifter who lives life on his own terms, and he has a strong sense of justice that drives him to take action when he sees wrongdoing. One of the themes that run through Die Trying is the idea of loyalty. Reacher is fiercely loyal to those he cares about, and he will stop at nothing to protect them. This is evident in his relationship with Holly, as he puts himself in harm's way to keep her safe. At the same time, the militia group is also driven by a twisted sense of loyalty to their cause. They believe that they are fighting against a corrupt government and that their actions are justified. Another theme that emerges in Die Trying is the idea of identity. Reacher is a man without a past, and he often struggles with his own identity. He has no family or permanent home, and he is constantly on the move. This contrasts sharply with Holly, who is deeply rooted in her career and her sense of purpose. As they journey together, both characters are forced to confront their own identities and what they value most in life. The pacing of Die Trying is fast-paced and relentless, with twists and turns that keep the reader engaged from beginning to end. Child's writing style is sharp and concise, with a minimum of fuss or embellishment. He has a knack for creating tension and suspense, and he keeps the reader guessing right up until the very end. Overall, Die Trying is an excellent thriller that combines action-packed adventure with complex psychological themes. It's a book that will keep you on the edge of your seat from start to finish, and it's a great example of why Lee Child is one of the most popular thriller writers working today. If you're looking for a thrilling read that will keep you up at night, Die Trying is definitely worth checking out. Sure thing. Here's my section on Reacher's encounter with the kidnapping suspects in Die Trying by Lee Child in Die Trying. Jack Reacher finds himself in a tricky situation when he stumbles upon a group of kidnappers in the act. The suspects are a ragtag group of right-wing extremists who believe that they are fighting against a tyrannical government, and they see Reacher as an enemy combatant. The leader of the group is a man named Wesley, who is a former Army Ranger and a skilled tactician. He's convinced that Reacher is part of a larger conspiracy to take down the group, and he's determined to extract information from him at any cost. The other members of the group are equally dangerous, with a mix of military training and a burning desire to fight for their cause. Despite being outnumbered and outgunned, Reacher manages to hold his own against the kidnappers. He uses his wits and his physical prowess to keep them at bay, even as they subject him to increasingly brutal interrogation tactics. Throughout the ordeal, Reacher remains calm and collected, never losing his cool even when faced with seemingly insurmountable odds. One of the things that makes this encounter so compelling is the way that Lee Child explores the motivations of both Reacher and the kidnappers. On the one hand, we have Reacher, a former military policeman who believes in justice and fairness above all else. He's not afraid to take on dangerous situations, but he always tries to do the right thing, even if it means putting himself in harm's way. On the other hand, we have the kidnappers, who see themselves as freedom fighters. They believe that they are fighting against a government that is trying to suppress their rights, and they are willing to do whatever it takes to defend their cause. While their methods may be extreme, their passion and conviction are undeniable. Throughout the encounter, Reacher tries to reason with the kidnappers, appealing to their sense of justice and fairness. He argues that they are on the wrong side of history and that their actions will only lead to more violence and suffering. But the kidnappers are too blinded by their ideology to see the truth, and they continue to view Reacher as an enemy combatant. This encounter also highlights one of the key themes of the book, the idea that appearances can be deceiving. Throughout Die Trying, Lee Child challenges our assumptions about the characters we meet, revealing hidden depths and complexities that defy easy categorization. The kidnappers are a perfect example of this, as they initially seem like one-dimensional villains but turn out to be much more nuanced and complicated. In the end, Reacher manages to escape from the kidnappers, thanks in part to the help of an FBI agent named Lisa Harper. But the experience leaves him shaken, and he's forced to confront the reality that even in a seemingly just cause, there are always those who will use violence and intimidation to achieve their goals. Overall, Reacher's encounter with the kidnapping suspects is one of the most thrilling and thought-provoking parts of Die Trying. It showcases Lee Child's ability to create complex characters and explore timely themes, all while delivering a gripping and suspenseful plot. Whether you're a fan of thrillers or just looking for a great read, Die Trying is definitely worth checking out. Sure thing! Here's my spoken audiobook summary section on Die Trying by Lee Child, focusing on the FBI's involvement and the introduction of Holly Johnson. As the story progresses in Die Trying, we are introduced to a new group of characters that add another layer of complexity to the plot, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI. The FBI becomes involved when they receive a ransom demand for Reacher and his hostage, Holly Johnson. At first, it seems like a straightforward kidnapping case, but as we learn more about Holly and her past, it becomes clear that there's much more to the situation than meets the eye. Holly Johnson is an intriguing character in her own right. She's a young woman who works for the Justice Department and has a complicated history with one of the men holding Reacher captive. Holly is strong-willed, intelligent, and resourceful, which makes her an interesting contrast to Reacher. While Reacher is often portrayed as a lone wolf who relies on his physical strength and survival skills, Holly is a member of a team and uses her knowledge and quick thinking to navigate difficult situations. Throughout the novel, we see the FBI working to track down Holly and Reacher, using all the resources at their disposal. However, they soon realize that they're dealing with a group of highly trained mercenaries who are always one step ahead of them. The tension between the FBI and the mercenaries adds an extra layer of suspense to the story, as we wonder if and when the two groups will finally come face to face. One of the things that I found most interesting about the FBI's involvement in Die Trying is how Child uses it to explore themes of power and control. The mercenaries who are holding Holly and Reacher captive see themselves as all-powerful, using fear and intimidation to get what they want. Meanwhile, the FBI sees itself as the ultimate authority, with the ability to track down and apprehend anyone who breaks the law. However, throughout the novel, we see both groups being challenged in unexpected ways. The mercenaries aren't as invincible as they think, and their plans start to unravel as Reacher and Holly work together to outsmart them. Meanwhile, the FBI faces its own challenges as it struggles to keep up with the mercenaries and protect innocent civilians. At the heart of Die Trying is a complex web of relationships between different characters and groups, all of whom have their own motivations and agendas. By introducing the FBI and Holly Johnson into the mix, Child adds even more depth to an already compelling story. We're left questioning who has the real power in any given situation, and whether or not it's possible for anyone to truly control the outcome of events. In conclusion, Die Trying by Lee Child is a thrilling and thought-provoking novel that keeps readers on the edge of their seats. The FBI's involvement and the introduction of Holly Johnson add another layer of complexity to an already intricate plot, exploring themes of power, control, and the limits of human resilience. Whether you're a fan of thrillers or just looking for a great read, Die Trying is definitely worth checking out. Alright, so in this section of Die Trying by Lee Child, we follow Jack Reacher and company on their journey to a remote survivalist compound in Montana. This part of the book is really where the action heats up, as our group finally comes face to face with the people responsible for the chaos they've been trying to unravel throughout the story. First, let's talk about the journey itself. It's quite a trek from Chicago to Montana, and Child does an excellent job of describing the landscape and the sense of isolation that comes with it. This serves to heighten the tension, as our group is literally and figuratively in the middle of nowhere, with no one around to help if things go south. As they make their way towards the compound, Reacher and Holly start to form a bond. Despite their initial animosity, they begin to trust each other and even develop feelings for one another. This is a classic trope in thrillers, but Child handles it well, making the relationship feel organic and believable. Plus, it adds an extra layer of stakes to the story. Now Reacher has even more reason to see this through and make sure Holly stays safe. Once they finally reach the compound, they're in for a shock. It turns out that the group behind the kidnapping and the conspiracy is not some shadowy government agency or criminal organization, but rather a group of survivalists who believe that society is on the brink of collapse. They've been preparing for this moment for years, stockpiling weapons, food, and other supplies, and they're not about to let anyone stand in their way. This discovery raises some interesting questions about power and control. The survivalists believe that they have the right to do whatever it takes to protect themselves and their way of life, even if it means resorting to violence and kidnapping. But Reacher and Holly, and by extension the reader, see things differently. They believe in the rule of law and the importance of individual rights and freedoms. This conflict comes to a head in a series of intense action sequences that take place throughout the compound. Reacher, Holly, and their allies must fight their way through waves of heavily armed survivalists, all while trying to uncover the truth behind the conspiracy and put a stop to it once and for all. Throughout all of this, Child does an excellent job of exploring the limits of human resilience. Reacher, in particular, is put through the ringer, both physically and emotionally. He's beaten, shot, and nearly killed multiple times throughout the story, but he always manages to pull himself back up and keep going. It's a testament to his strength of character and his determination to see things through to the end. Overall, this section of Die Trying is a thrilling ride from start to finish. The journey to Montana and the discovery at the survivalist compound are expertly crafted, raising questions about power, control, and the limits of human resilience. Whether you're a fan of thrillers or just looking for a great read, this book is definitely worth checking out. Sure, let's dive into the thrilling hostage situation, escapes, and double crosses in Die Trying by Lee Child. The story takes an exciting turn when our hero, Jack Reacher, and his newfound ally, Holly Johnson, get kidnapped and held hostage by a militant group known as the Aryan Rangers. The group's leader, Bo Borkin, is portrayed as a charismatic yet dangerous man who uses his charm to manipulate those around him. Borkin believes that he is building a utopian society, but in reality he is creating a dangerous cult based on hate and fear. Reacher and Holly are taken to a remote survivalist compound in Montana, where they are subjected to harsh conditions and constant threats. Reacher, being the resourceful character that he is, quickly devises a plan to escape. He uses his military training and knowledge of human behavior to manipulate Borkin and gain his trust, all while looking for an opportunity to flee with Holly. Meanwhile, Holly is portrayed as a strong-willed and intelligent woman who refuses to be a victim. She actively participates in the escape plan and uses her own skills to help Reacher. However, just when they think they have escaped, they are recaptured, leading to a series of double crosses that keep the reader on the edge of their seat. One of the things that Child does well in this section of the book is exploring the theme of power and control. Borkin's character is a prime example of how power can corrupt an individual, leading them to believe that they are above the law and justified in their actions. Reacher, on the other hand, represents the idea of using power for good and standing up against those who abuse it. Another interesting aspect of this section is the exploration of human resilience. Both Reacher and Holly are subjected to harsh conditions and constant threats, yet they refuse to give up. They keep fighting and find ways to survive, even in the most dire circumstances. This theme ties in well with the overall message of the book, which is that humans are capable of enduring and overcoming even the toughest challenges. The hostage situation, escapes, and double crosses in this section also serve to move the plot forward and keep the reader engaged. The pacing is excellent, with each action-packed scene leading seamlessly into the next. Child's writing style is descriptive yet concise, making it easy for the reader to visualize the events as they unfold. In conclusion, the hostage situation, escapes, and double crosses in Die Trying by Lee Child are expertly crafted and add an exciting layer of complexity to the story. The themes of power, control, and human resilience are explored in depth, adding a level of depth and meaning to the thrilling plot. Whether you're a fan of action-packed thrillers or just looking for a great read, this section of the book is definitely worth checking out. As we approach the end of Die Trying by Lee Child, the tension is at an all-time high. Our protagonist, Jack Reacher, has been captured by a group with ties to a militia movement in the United States. The group, led by a charismatic but dangerous leader named Billy Barnes, has taken Reacher and his newfound ally, Michelle Chang, hostage. Throughout the book, we see Reacher use his wits and strength to survive against all odds. But in his final confrontation, he faces his greatest challenge yet. Barnes has a plan to blow up several federal buildings, causing chaos and destruction across the country. Reacher and Chong are the only ones who can stop him, but they're trapped in a remote location with no way out. Reacher's ability to think on his speed is put to the test as he and Chong try to come up with a plan to escape and alert authorities to Barnes's plans. They manage to free themselves, but not before Barnes sets off one of his explosives, causing a massive explosion that destroys the compound they were being held in. Despite the danger, Reacher and Chong press on, determined to stop Barnes and his militia movement. They make their way to Washington, D.C., where Barnes plans to set off his remaining bombs. In a thrilling showdown, Reacher confronts Barnes and his followers, using all of his strength and cunning to take them down. In the end, Reacher and Chong succeed in stopping Barnes and preventing further destruction. But the cost is high. Chong is injured in the final battle, and Reacher is left to grapple with the aftermath of the violence and chaos that he's been a part of. This final confrontation is a powerful exploration of the themes of power, control, and human resilience that run throughout the book. Barnes and his militia movement represent a dangerous form of extremism, one that seeks to use violence and fear to achieve its goals. Reacher and Chang, on the other hand, stand for justice and the rule of law, even in the face of overwhelming odds. The final confrontation also showcases Reacher's unyielding determination and strength. Despite being outnumbered and outgunned, he never gives up, never backs down. He's a true hero, one who embodies the values of courage, resilience, and perseverance. In conclusion, the final confrontation in Die Trying is a thrilling and thought-provoking end to an action-packed thriller. It's a reminder of the power of determination and the importance of standing up for what's right, even in the face of overwhelming odds. Whether you're a fan of Lee Child's work or just looking for a great read, this book is definitely worth checking out. Hey there, I'm excited to dive into the themes and character analysis of Die Trying by Lee Child. This book is a thrilling ride, but it also offers some interesting insights into human nature and our response to adversity. First, let's talk about the main character, Jack Reacher. Reacher is a former military policeman who roams the country, getting involved in various adventures along the way. In Die Trying, he finds himself in the middle of a conspiracy involving a white supremacist group and the FBI. Reacher is a fascinating character because he's not your typical hero. He's not particularly muscular or athletic, but he has an incredible amount of determination and resourcefulness. He's also fiercely independent and doesn't hesitate to stand up for what he believes in, even if it means going against authority figures like the FBI. One theme that runs throughout Die Trying is the power of determination. Reacher's relentless pursuit of justice, despite overwhelming odds, is a testament to the human spirit's ability to persevere. This theme is especially relevant in today's world, where it can be easy to feel overwhelmed by the challenges we face. Another theme that emerges in the book is the importance of standing up for what's right, even if it means going against popular opinion. Reacher's refusal to back down from his principles, even when faced with threats and violence, is a powerful reminder of the value of integrity. The supporting characters in Die Trying are also well-drawn and complex. Holly Johnson, a young FBI agent who becomes Reacher's unlikely ally, is particularly noteworthy. At first, she's wary of Reacher's unconventional methods, but as the story progresses, she comes to admire his tenacity and resourcefulness. Holly is also a great example of a character who grows and changes throughout the book. At the beginning of the story, she's unsure of herself and her abilities, but by the end, she's emerged as a confident and capable agent in her own right. The relationship between Reacher and Holly is another interesting aspect of the book. While there's definitely an attraction between them, their partnership is based more on mutual respect and admiration than romantic feelings. It's a refreshing change from the typical love story that often dominates thrillers. In terms of plot, Die Trying is a masterclass in suspense and tension. The pacing is expertly crafted, with just enough twists and turns to keep readers on the edge of their seats. Child's writing style is lean and muscular, with no wasted words or unnecessary descriptions. Overall, Die Trying is a thrilling and thought-provoking end to an action-packed trilogy. It's a reminder of the power of determination and the importance of standing up for what's right, even in the face of overwhelming odds. Whether you're a fan of Lee Child's work or just looking for a great read, this book is definitely worth checking out. In conclusion, Die Trying is a gripping thriller that offers a deep exploration of human nature and our response to adversity. With its complex characters, intricate plot, and timely themes, it's a book that will keep you engaged from start to finish. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the world of Jack Reacher. Hey there, I'm glad you're still with me on this journey through Lee Child's Die Trying. In this section, we'll delve into some of the book's most compelling themes: loyalty, identity, and courage. First up, loyalty. This is a central theme that drives the actions and relationships of the characters in the story. Jack Reacher, our protagonist, is the epitome of loyalty. He's a former military policeman who believes in standing by his friends and doing what's right no matter the cost. In Die Trying, Reacher finds himself in the middle of a dangerous situation when he stops to help a stranger in distress, Holly Johnson. Despite not knowing her, Reacher feels a sense of duty to protect her and see her safely home. Holly, too, displays loyalty throughout the story. She's a member of a controversial group called the Four Freedoms, but when she's kidnapped by a group of extremists, she remains steadfast in her beliefs and refuses to betray her cause. Even when faced with torture and death, Holly remains loyal to her friends and her principles. The theme of identity is also woven throughout the story. Reacher, who has no permanent address or family ties, struggles to define himself outside of his military background. He's a man without a country, constantly on the move and unable to put down roots. This lack of identity allows him to be flexible and adaptable in any situation, but it also leaves him feeling isolated and disconnected from the world around him. Holly, on the other hand, has a very clear sense of her own identity. She's an outspoken advocate for her cause and is willing to sacrifice everything to defend it. However, as she spends more time with Reacher, she begins to question her own beliefs and the motivations of those around her. This exploration of identity leads both characters to grow and evolve throughout the story. Finally, Die Trying examines the theme of courage. Both Reacher and Holly display incredible bravery in the face of danger. Reacher, with his military training and physical prowess, is able to take on armed adversaries with ease, but it's Holly's quiet determination and resilience that really stand out. Despite being constantly underestimated and dismissed by those around her, she never gives up hope and continues to fight for what she believes in. Through these themes, Die Trying offers a nuanced exploration of human nature and our response to adversity. The characters are complex and flawed, but they're also relatable and compelling. They face impossible odds and make difficult choices, but they never lose sight of what's truly important: loyalty, identity, and courage. So there you have it. We've explored some of the key themes in Die Trying and examined how they drive the actions and motivations of the characters. This book is a gripping thriller that will keep you on the edge of your seat, but it's also so much more than that. It's a thought-provoking exploration of what it means to be human, and I highly recommend it to anyone who loves a good story. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the world of Jack Reacher. Hey there, I'm glad you're still with me as we continue our discussion of Die Trying by Lee Child. In this section, I want to focus on the main character of the story, Jack Reacher. Reacher is a former military policeman who has made it his life's mission to wander around the United States, getting involved in other people's problems and generally causing trouble for bad guys. He's a towering figure, standing at 6'5", with broad shoulders and a no-nonsense attitude that makes him an intimidating presence wherever he goes. One of the most striking things about Reacher is his independence. He doesn't have a home or a job, and he doesn't seem to want either. Instead, he relies on his wits, his strength, and his experience to get by in the world. This makes him a fascinating character to follow, as we see how he adapts to new situations and overcomes obstacles without the benefit of a safety net. Reacher's sense of justice is another defining trait. He has a strong moral compass that guides him in his actions, even when those actions might put him in danger. In Die Trying, we see this play out as he becomes embroiled in a conspiracy involving a white supremacist group and the FBI. Despite the risks to himself, Reacher is determined to do what's right and bring the bad guys to justice. But Reacher isn't just a one-dimensional action hero. He has a complex personality that's revealed gradually throughout the book. For example, we learn that he has a deep sense of loyalty to those he cares about, even if he doesn't always show it in conventional ways. We also see his softer side as he interacts with Holly Johnson, the FBI agent who becomes his unlikely ally in the story. Throughout Die Trying, Reacher undergoes a subtle but significant character development. At the beginning of the book, he's a drifter with no real purpose beyond causing trouble. But as he gets drawn into the conspiracy and meets Holly, he begins to see the value in having connections with other people. He starts to care about her and her safety, and this newfound sense of responsibility helps him to focus his energies and become an even more effective force for good. Reacher's character development is just one of the many reasons why Die Trying is such a compelling read. By exploring his motivations and personality in depth, Lee Child has created a hero who is both relatable and inspiring. Whether you're a fan of action thrillers or just enjoy well-crafted characters, I highly recommend checking out this book and getting to know Jack Reacher for yourself. Thanks again for joining me on this journey into the world of Jack Reacher. I hope you've enjoyed our discussion so far, and I look forward to sharing more insights with you in future sections. Sure, let's dive right in. As I mentioned before, Holly Johnson is a pivotal character in Die Trying by Lee Child. She's an FBI agent who gets kidnapped along with Jack Reacher, and her presence significantly impacts the storyline and Reacher's perspective. Holly is introduced as a capable and independent woman, which immediately sets her apart from other female characters in thriller novels. Her intelligence and determination are evident when she manages to escape from their captors early on in the book. This event marks a turning point for Holly and Reacher's relationship as they go from strangers to allies working towards a common goal. Throughout the novel, Holly proves herself to be an equal match for Reacher, both physically and mentally. She holds her own during dangerous situations and contributes valuable insights to their mission. This dynamic is refreshing and adds depth to the storyline, making it more engaging for readers. Reacher's perspective towards Holly evolves throughout the book as well. Initially, he sees her as a liability due to her injuries and lack of experience in combat situations. However, as they spend more time together, Reacher begins to see Holly as a valuable partner and someone he can rely on. This change in perception highlights Reacher's growth as a character and his ability to form meaningful connections with others. Furthermore, the relationship between Holly and Reacher challenges gender norms within the thriller genre. Holly is not portrayed as a damsel in distress who needs saving. Instead, she is a strong and capable woman who can hold her own. Similarly, Reacher is not depicted as a typical macho hero, but rather as someone who recognizes and values Holly's skills and contributions. The themes of trust, loyalty, and partnership are also explored through Holly and Reacher's relationship. Despite their differences, they learn to trust each other and work together towards a common goal. This dynamic adds complexity to the storyline and makes it more compelling for readers. In conclusion, Holly Johnson's impact on Die Trying cannot be overstated. She is a well-developed character who challenges gender norms within the thriller genre and provides an engaging counterpart to Jack Reacher. Through their relationship, themes of trust, loyalty, and partnership are explored, adding depth to the storyline. If you're looking for a thrilling novel with complex characters and thought-provoking themes, I highly recommend Die Trying by Lee Child. Not only will you be entertained by the action-packed plot, but you'll also gain insight into the dynamic between Holly Johnson and Jack Reacher, two unforgettable characters who will leave a lasting impression on you long after you finish the book. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the world of Jack Reacher, and I hope you enjoy reading Die Trying as much as I did.